Now, we have so far seen the lap winding and how they are connected. Now we will look at the wave windings. We have already discussed earlier that the wave winding consists of the windings which pass through different poles. Basically, there are two parallel paths. From the brushes they branch out to two parts, and one path goes through, say, one direction, a clockwise direction, another goes through, say, anti-clockwise direction, and we will see how it is actually connected by taking some typical examples. So here I have shown a 13 slots, 26 coil sides, 13 commutator segments, a 4-pole wave winding. Okay. So this is the arrangement we will just look up. Now when we say 13 slots, this is the complete diagram. The 13 slots are drawn, so that means 26 coil sides. Typically they are distributed, say, between 4 poles. Let us say these are the influence of different poles. Supposing we identify this as north pole, south pole, north pole, south pole. Okay. So these are the poles, and the conductors under the influence of one pole would have voltage induced in one direction, and those under the influence of the opposite pole will have voltage induced in the opposite direction, and their typical directions are shown here. And if we trace the current or voltage paths, ultimately they will be connected to the commutator segments and the brushes. Now in this diagram, if we carefully trace the paths, you will notice that the current would be entering here at commutator number 6, and current would be going out at commutator number 9 at this instant, and the coil which is connected to the brush would invariably would be in the interpolar region, which is about to change the direction of current, or it is going to be. This is called the coil under commutation, which is likely to change the direction of current as the brushes move with reference to the commutator segment. Now if the current goes in, say, from brush B2 and comes out, say, from brush B1, if it is a generator convention, the terminal in which the current comes out would be a positive one, and the terminal through which the current goes in will be the negative one. Of course, if it is a motoring convention, the current would be entering from positive and coming out through the negative. Now that means we notice as it goes in, it branches through two paths, one to the left and another to the right, and it will be going through a group of conductors and coils and comes out through the other brush B1 like this. Again two branches come in, so you observe basically two parallel paths. Now if we carefully look at the numbering of the coil sides, you will notice that at commutator segment 6 it is branching out through two coils as number 8 and number 15. So let us start from that 8 and 15 and see how it traces further. So from 8 and 15 coil sides, we notice that the current is going in. So let us say if this is the current going in through brush B2. So one branch goes through coil side 8, another through coil side 15, and this after 15 it goes to 22, because in this case we have taken YF equal to YB equal to 7 coil sides. This is the formula we have taken. In fact, to go back, we can see here YF equal to YB equal to 7, YR the resultant is 14 and YC is 7, that the commutator pitch is 7. So these are all written here. These are the numbers. Now, if that means it will pass through, if it's 15 it goes to 22, then it goes to 29, because there are 26 coil sides, it will go to 3, then to 10, then to 17, then to 24. You just add on 7, then 24 plus 7 is 31, because there are 25, it will become 5, then 12, then 19, then 26, then 7 and 14. So one side starts from 15, and as we have just now seen, it returns through 14 here. So it has gone through 15, one current path will go through 15 and finally returns through 14. Okay. Now let us trace the same path through the other path. Here it will be in the opposite direction. So let us say it traces from 8, that means you subtract 7, so that's through 1, then through 20. Okay. Of course, the easier way is to go through the other side, that is 14, other side is 21. So you will notice that 14 is here. When it is coming out, it is 14 and 21, that is the junction with the current is coming out. So let us trace back from 21, because it is the opposite direction. So this 21 is connected to add 2, then add 7 9, then add 7 is 15, then 22, then add 7 is 29 is 3, no sorry, 9 plus 7 is 16, 23, then 4, then 11, then 18, then 25, 6, 13 and 20. So that is how the two paths are traced. So the current goes on one side, starts from 15 coil side, number 15 coil side, and goes up to 14. Other side starts from 8 coil sides, goes up to 21, but they follow opposite paths, one clockwise, another anti-clockwise, and the current comes out through the brush B1. So since if it is generator mode, you can say when the terminal it is coming out is positive and the terminal which is entering could be negative. So this is how the two paths, so we have two parallel paths. So we now see the wave winding which has two paths and which has been clearly shown in that figure on the screen. So we have therefore seen a case of a wave winding 4-pole 24 slots, 4-pole 13 slots, that is 26 coil sites. For another example, this is the case of a 21 slots, YB is 11, YF is 9, 21 slot means 42 coil sites, that is 2 coil sites per slots. So you will notice how it goes, say from 1 it goes to 12, and this is a wave winding, it follows this path. So typically these are the commutator segments and these are the brush positions. The figure here is the connection diagram. So 1 it goes to 12, then 21, 32, 41, 10, it continues and comes back from up to 12 and then goes to 1. So from this point, these two are the same point. So you have these commutator segments 1 going till 21 commutator segments. Now these are the brush positions and they have been shown here. That means if one traces the current paths and voltage paths clearly, one can see where the brushes have to be connected. So the same arrangement is shown by a complete diagram of a 21 slots 42 coil sites 4-pole system. This is under the south north. So the voltage induced under the south pole is here shown to be upwards, north downwards like this. So if you collect all this, so one will notice the brush positions through which the currents are injected or collected, or currents are taken out, or currents are made to enter. So these are basically, one can trace the paths carefully with patience to ensure that it goes through a wave and it has the two parallel paths. Okay. Now we have now seen typically the lap and wave winding and a simple windings which are used in DC machines. Of course the larger machines may have complex windings, and how the brushes are connected to the commutator segments and how the ends of the coil sides are connected to the commutator segments. Okay. The next topic that we take up at this juncture is the nature of field excitation in DC machines. We have seen that the machines have to be, in DC machines we must produce the flux, and the field system is producing the flux, and how this field excitation, or what is the nature of field system. Okay. Now the one arrangement we have in small machines is called a permanent magnet system. In the permanent magnet system, the field that is generally in the stator, we connect the permanent magnets, and if it is a permanent magnet, then we get a constant flux. So if you want to look at the sort of a actual picture. If this is the stator yoke, the permanent magnets may be fixed with appropriate shapes like this. So these are the permanent magnets. Of course, it may have different shapes, but there are no windings. And of course, we have the usual rotor, which is the armature. So this is a brushed permanent magnet machine. So this is a constant flux, as we have already indicated. This is the type of arrangement, and you can have a cylindrical stator to which the magnets are pasted. There are different qualities of magnets, and improved quality of magnets are being developed over the years, and that's how we do. And the second one is the magnet in the rotor. So we have permanent magnet in the rotor, and the stator has armature windings. And here we use what is known as electronic commutation. There are normally 3 phase. That is 6 terminals. So these are normally electronically commutated. These are electronically commutated. That means the windings which are brought out, the terminals are brought out. Let us say 6 terminals, 3 phase. Let us say A dash, B dash, and C dash. And if you have a DC supply, these are switched at suitable instants to make sure that you switch the windings in the stator at appropriate instants such that the armature field is always 90 degree with the rotor field. That means stator field is always 90 degrees with reference to rotor field. So you sense the position of the rotor and put currents into the stator at appropriate instants from the DC source, such that all the time the rotor field is at quadrature with the stator field. Okay, this is a permanent magnet excitation. Okay. Now let us look at the second excitation, is called the electromagnetic excitation. Now the system that we will have are shunt or separate excitation. That means we will put the windings in the field structure, and they had to be carrying current. So these are called, apart from permanent magnet, so we don't put permanent magnet here, but we put some windings here. So you have the windings here, field, these are called the field windings. So now when you have to put the field winding, they produce the flux depending upon the direction which the field winding is put. So these are called the wound field machines, are excited by separate sources. Now in this there are you can put the current in the windings either by a separate source or through the armature. So we broadly classify them into separately excited or self-excited machines. So two types of wound field. So we put them as separately excited and second one is self-excited. So separately excited means that the field winding is connected to a separate source. Self-excited means it is connected to the armature. Okay. This is separate source is exciting the field, and it is armature is exciting the field. That so there is a difference in the type of connections, and even in the separate excitation is from a separate source, and self excitation we have broadly two types. There is shunt excited and series excited. That means in this case the armature winding is parallel to field winding, and in the series case armature is in series to field. So this is basically the thing. So you have one in which you connect the armature across the field, and other type you connect the armature in series with the field. Okay. So if we have the indicate like this, if this is the armature and this is the field. Now in the case of shunt, you connect like this. This is shunt, where this is the armature plus minus, this is the field plus minus. This is the armature, and what you will notice here is the voltage across the armature is same as the voltage across the field. So here voltage across the armature is same as voltage across the field. Then this is the shunt connection. Now if you take the series, same armature and the same field, but here they are connected in series. Supposing this is the voltage across the armature and this is the voltage across the field, and this is the current across the field and current across the armature. So this is the series connection. In the series connection, we notice the current across the field, we'll call it as the series field, IS, that is IS will be equal to IA, the current across the in the armature, and of course the voltage will be the sum of the two. So voltage at the terminal will be the voltage across the series field plus voltage across the armature. On the contrary, here the current, supposing entering, let us say IL, will have the current through the field and current through the armature. So you have the relation here that IL will be equal to IA plus IF as per the current direction shown here. So you will notice in the shunt connection, the terminal or the line currents will be adding up while the voltages will remain the same. In the series connection, the voltages at the terminal will add up with the field and armature while the current will continue to be the same. So this is basically one time the armature voltage is exciting the field, another side armature current is exciting the field. Okay. This is the main difference between the shunt and series. So we have seen in summary that we have one separate excitation and self excitation. In the self excitation there are two types, one is the shunt excitation, another is series excitation. Okay. So that is summarized in this transparency here. So we have shunt or separate excitation. What we notice here is the voltage, it is depend upon the voltage of the voltage. So that means it is nearly a constant flux system. A shunt machine, you can say, is nearly a constant flux system, whereas in the case of series, the flux that is in the series winding is proportional to the current in the armature or is proportional to what we call it as a load current or the armature current. Therefore, we have the series winding of this configuration. Now, once you have the shunt and series, you can combine them together and you call it as a compound machine. A compound machine has both series and shunt. Okay. So next one is of course self excited, but it is a compound machine. So compound excitation that is both series are shunt are present, series and shunt windings are present. Now we could see that means on the same pole, let us say this is the pole, schematically we can say that we have both the windings. Let us say the shunt winding, I call it as the main field or the F winding, and then let us say there is the series winding. Let us say S winding. So this is a compound winding, that is on the same pole you have wound two windings. One goes for connecting to shunt, another for series. So you can write schematically like this. If this is the armature, there are two windings. One goes in parallel and another goes in series. So that's if this is F and this is S winding. Both are present. So they will be carrying current, let us say IF and let us say IS. So this will be carrying a current IF and this will be carrying a current IS. Now for the type that is shown here, for the way it is wound, it is found at net field MMF per pole will be sum of the MMF produced by each of the windings, and if this series has a turns NS and the shunt has a turns NF, you can say that is equal to NSIS plus NFIF. This is the net field MMF per pole, that is sum of these two, because each one of these currents produce flux in the same direction. This will also produce flux in the same direction, this also produce flux in the same direction. So we see that the flux is produced by the field cumulatively. Two of them produce the flux cumulatively. So this is called a cumulative compound machine. That means the fluxes add. They are adding, that means the series field is aiding the shunt field. Here in cumulative compound, we find the series field aids shunt field. That means the net flux is F total MMF is equal to NSIS plus NFIF. But we must know that the shunt is always the main field. In most of the, in all the cumulatively compound, in all the compound machines, shunt is the basically the main field, and the series field is basically a controlling field. To control the net flux. Okay. Now there is other way round. In case you change the direction of the series field, if you change the direction of the series field, instead of here, if you inject it from here, so I don't connect it, current is going from here. You reverse the series current, then the net field will be, we have to change from plus to minus. That means the net field here will be NFIF minus NSIS, because the series MMF is opposing the shunt MMF, and this is called not cumulative but differential compound. That means the flux oppose. That means series flux will oppose the shunt field or the main flux. So you will have, in this case, instead of current flowing like this in the series field, it will be flowing in the other direction. So you may connect it, if the current is going like this, you just exchange, so the current will go like this, enters from the other direction and goes back. So this will be differential compound. That means while the main field is producing this way, the series field is producing the flux in the other direction. So we can rewrite this same statement. Instead of cumulative compound, you have a differential compound, where a series field opposes shunt field, So net MMF Ft will therefore be NFIF minus NSIS. So in general, we can say that net field MMF will be equal to NFIF plus or minus NSIS. So the plus will be cumulative and minus is differential, but wound on the same poles. So both series and shunt field will be on the same poles, but the important thing is how do you identify them? What are the different design changes in the two windings? We must understand that the shunt field must carry the nominal voltage but smaller current, and it must have less losses, which would means it must have high resistance, made of thinner wires, more number of turns. So the shunt field have more turns but carry small currents but thinner wires, whereas series field must carry the rated machine current, therefore it must have be thicker wires, but there should not be much drop across them, so it must have a lower resistance, which means that it must be made up of thicker wires, smaller turns, larger cross section, and smaller length. So in both cases you don't want to have much losses in series and shunt windings. The loss in the series winding will be I square into R in the series winding, and loss in the shunt winding will be V square divided by R. Therefore, shunt winding must have very high resistance and the series winding must have a low resistance. So identifying them, you just measure the resistance of the series and shunt to identify which one has to be is the series and which one is the shunt. Okay. So whatever discussions we had till now, it is we can summarize now as regarding the field as shown here. So we have the series is flux is proportional to load, whereas shunt the flux is proportional to voltage, and in the differential compound the flux in differential compound flux is proportional to the main field NFIF minus NSIS. In cumulative compound the total field is proportional to NFIF plus NSIS. So this is the connection where you have the shunt field and the series field. The dot convention says which directions it is wound. Okay. So we now depending upon whether it is operating as a motor or a generator, they can have the different combination. So you have whatever we have discussed, we can summarize. We have the permanent magnet, the flux not controlled because there is a fixed flux. This is the permanent magnet. Then electromagnet are where the flux is controlled. There is an electromagnet where the flux is controlled. In electromagnet we have basically two types, the separate excitation and self excitation. In separate excitation the flux is normally constant unless you vary the current through external controllers. In a self excitation the voltage and current of the armature will decide the voltage and the current in the field. And in the self excitation we have three types. One is the shunt excitation and a series excitation, and the combination of shunt and series will be a compound excitation. So there could be shunt machines purely, there could be series machine purely, or there could be compound machines which have both the series and the shunts. Now we have discussed that the shunt machines are having large turns, they carry rated voltage, they carry low current, and they have high resistance. Whereas series machines or series windings will have low turns, they carry nominal or rated current, they will have low voltage across the winding, and they will have low resistance. So we must understand this is the way the excitation system in a DC machine works, and these are the different types of excitation systems and how they are connected and how they will make an impact. So in the subsequent lectures we will take up the characteristics of these and the physical phenomenon that are associated with these fields. So we will close at this juncture.